Hi guys, welcome to Crosstalk, your local podcast brought to you by Republic Polytechnic Diploma in Mass Communications and Singapore Red Cross. Come and join us in hearing the conversations and perspectives of various Red Cross leaders.
We'll be covering various topics ranging from blood donation to caring for the elderly and many more. So get yourselves comfortable, maybe grab yourself some drinks and snacks because the conversations we're about to have is gonna be interesting. So stay tuned.
Hi guys, welcome to Crosstalk, a podcast brought to you by RP's Diploma in Mass Communication and the SRC. Today we are really excited and happy to have you listen to this podcast as we talk to SRC about the various social causes that they have championed. Today we have two hosts and one guest. I'm Jean and
I'm Yashrini. So today we are going to be talking about elderly in particular. And so Jean, what do you think about this year, especially during the pandemic?
this year has been very sad. Like I have so many plans to do and like I was supposed to be at SL for the camp and then it's all cancelled because of COVID and like until now we still have to wear masks, like we still cannot like gather in like huge groups and I feel so frustrated. I just wish that the normal life can come back as soon as possible.
That's very true, but we also have to consider other people who are suffering from the pandemic. So one of them are actually elderly people. They are facing social isolation because of this COVID-19. And do you remember during the phase 1, we couldn't even go to each other's houses. So like imagine those people who have parents or grandparents, so like they can't visit them. So like, you know, it's really sad. And they kind of use technology to fill in these gaps. So like they use Zoom and you know all these kind of apps.
Yeah.
But do you feel like these things are actually enough?
I feel like even though like no matter how advanced technology is, right, like we are still humans, we still need the human touch, you know.
Yeah.
like for me, I'm like a more like touchy person, so like I really like to hug people and all those. Yeah. So I feel like all those Zoom and all those, no matter how clear it is, right, it's just a virtual thing, you know.
Yeah, that's
a virtual thing of the person that you're looking at. So it's like it's still the best to like really come out and like talk to each other and like face to face.
Yeah. And we also have to keep in mind that this has increased during the pandemic, but it doesn't mean that it does not exist after and before the pandemic. So today we have someone very special with us, and she's Karine from the Singapore Red Cross, who's going to share.
More about herself and like what she do for the elderly, right? Okay, so hi
Karine.
Yes.
So could you tell us more about yourself?
I'm Karine. I've been working with the Singapore Red Cross for about 6 years. So currently I'm heading a community services department, so which covers some of the local services that we are doing for the community.
Okay, so like cause for me, right, not much of my friends who want to do this kind of like social causes and volunteer kind of job. So what's the reason or like what's the interest that made you wanted to like join Red Cross?
Why Red Cross or why the industry in
This
general?
kind.
I think it's more of a personal value thing.
Personally.
I think as we were all studying and growing up, we all want to have visions about what we want to achieve in life. So I started backpacking when I was in uni, and I saw how the most vulnerable in the world, like how they live overseas, and that's when my mindset changed. I thought that whatever I want to do something that's good. So the moment I graduated, I went into the charity industry and never left ever since.
Is there anything that you wish to do to like help these people more, or is there a specific group of people that you want to target and help more?
My personal opinion is I always love to work with children and women.
Children and women.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had the chance to work with children before?
Children, not really, not in the sense of my work, but in like external volunteering and personal like ventures. Yes.
Okay. So you say that.
Okay, so today, you know, we are talking about elderlies and like mostly vulnerable elderlies, right? So what do you think that these elderlies who might be living alone actually need? Like what are some of the necessities that they deserve?
I think what the general public thinks nowadays is probably like the basic like needs like food, water, shelter. But I think the up and coming thing that we need to start focusing on is more on the emotional needs. Like you were saying that human touch. A lot of the isolated seniors during the pandemic, during the circuit breaker, they miss that. Like they cannot go out. They have nobody to talk to. And that's where we step in to try to make more calls to them, to try to talk to them more. Yeah, because I think this human touch thing is very important for our emotional well-being. Like I mean, just asking your, like, if you cannot see your friends for 6 months,
Yeah.
how will you feel?
Yeah,
Like-
that would be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, if you stay with your family, then not too bad, right? You still got people that you can talk
Oh,
to, you can
yeah.
touch. But if you're really staying alone, that's
Very sad.
quite that's quite a nightmare in my opinion lah.
Yeah, like when we talk about assistance, all right, the
Yeah.
government will they will usually look at those like money related,
Yeah,
food
that's
related,
true.
but they
Yeah.
always like neglect the social kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then like for us, right, like during COVID, like we got phone and we got phone to like
Yeah.
connect, and we still feel like so
Yeah.
like so tired. But then for the elderly, even it will be more worse, right?
And it'll be kind of hard for them to like adjust to using these new technologies because they kind of get tricky
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays, like government like start doing like like push all the digital things.
Yeah, don't talk about them lah. Sometimes I also feel that I cannot catch up with the
Yeah, true,
technology
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's so
hard.
difficult.
Yeah. So right, like before this podcast, I did like some research and I found out like on the SRC website, there's this thing called ElderAid. Can you give us like a brief description of what is this?
Okay, so ElderAid is part of one of the programs that SRC does to assist the elderly in Singapore. So ElderAid basically is a befriending services lah. So we identify those isolated seniors and provide them with volunteers on a longer term basis to become their friend, to become their caregivers. Yeah. So they usually stay around the area so that there's more frequency in terms of like checking out on them. Sometimes they'll just like, have you taken your dinner? Yeah, so they become like their relatives, their friends, if let's say they are really isolated with no caregiver, no relatives. So other services that we also have within the Red Cross will be like the TransportAid. Then we also have the Home Plus, as well as like the Community Health on Wheels, where we do basic health monitoring and checks for the senior citizens.
Oh, okay. So like, you say about these like elderly whereby people can go and help, right? Like, how can the people like sign up or like how do you help the volunteer to like do the elderly like that? How do you connect them together?
So we definitely have to find a match.
I'll find a match.
So senior citizens they also have their preference. So like for example, they will be prefer like let's say a grandma would prefer to have a female befriender. So we try to find out what is the match, and then we try to match as much as possible. Yeah, and of course the vicinity of where they stay is very important. If let's say you stay in like Jurong, I cannot match you with somebody who's in Pasir. Then that will defeat the purpose. You see.
Yeah. I think like these small things that you said, right? Like, have you had your dinner? I think it can really like make someone's day. So like throughout these befriending programs and all, has there been any like benefits that you have noticed by yourself in these elderly?
Benefits. I think they become more vocal. Yeah, so sometimes they are happy to see us. Sometimes they will be like, what else can I do for you? Yeah, sometimes they are just like, they just don't know what else to do. So sometimes we also pair them out with other programs so that they can volunteer for them. And that's something that is a social interaction for them. And it works lah. So these are like, we try to build our ecosystem where they are self-resilient and we help each other.
When you actually like seek these beneficiaries, right? Are they like open to the idea of seeking like getting help, or have there been incidents where like they don't want help from the
Definitely not all the time. Some people are private. Yeah, or they have a lot of like, you want to help me, can, but I got all these criteria because I cannot do this, I cannot do that. And we have to respect their choices.
Okay. So like, cause now we know like there's a pandemic going on. So like, have the ways that you all do stuff, carry out your program, has it changed like before and after the pandemic? Like, what are the adjustments that you all made?
Definitely we have to. We work with a lot of senior citizens, and it's clear that they are the vulnerable groups. So like during the circuit breaker, we cannot visit them. So we have to do more calls to make sure that they don't feel neglected. So we have to give them a lot more like concern via the call. And even if now that we can visit them, we have to exercise a lot of precautions. We cannot just go there and like you say, we give them a hug. We have to make sure that when we visit, we have to plan out properly that we don't possibly like meet like 10 elderlies in one day, because if anything happens, then we have to make sure that we exercise that precaution beforehand. Yeah. And like a lot of like, we also give out packages to our volunteers like hand sanitizers, gloves, masks, to make sure that they are well equipped and they are all well prepared before they go and meet our senior citizens.
So like, have you seen any changes in these elderlies when like instead of like physically y'all go there, right? like you are giving calls during the pandemic. So were there like any changes you observed in them?
Not much lah. I mean, of course, they will say that, now very troublesome lah.
Yeah.
Go out, must bring this, bring that. I also don't know what the government wants. They always because it's confusing to them.
Oh.
The information that we can process is much faster than them. So we need a lot of patience and understanding to explain to them that, oh, this is why it happened. This is what we have to do. And what is the better good for all this. And it takes time to explain to them on this.
So like like I mentioned earlier, right? A lot of us use technology now to contact people and so on, and also some people might opt to choose like caregivers and so on. But there are some people who can't afford caregivers, or using technology alone isn't enough. So like there might be vulnerable elderlies at home. So is there any like you mentioned earlier, right? There are a lot of programs. So is there a specific program to help elderlies who are living alone?
The one that we have to help elderly alone is really the home monitoring and eldercare service, which we call it the Home Plus service. So it's basically a non-invasive, no CCTV kind of motion sensor. So we actually put it around the house to make sure that it's more of like the study of their lifestyle patterns and give almost immediate assistance whenever we need lah. So there's also a distress button they can press if let's say they need help. So this is especially useful for people who stays alone, and they, sometimes our akong ama, they are more like, why if I call the ambulance, I must pay. If I go see doctor, very expensive. So what we will do is our responders here, they're all standard first aid trained. So what they do is sometimes they will just call, actually just now I fall down, I don't know if I should see the doctor. So then our responders will go out and just to check and say that, okay lah, akong, you don't need to go hospital lah. Or actually you need to go to the clinic. And sometimes for the assessment, they will have to call the ambulance and send to the hospital. So we actually had one recent case like just a few weeks ago. So there's this inactivity that was detected. So and when the call center will call first, we don't unnecessarily dispatch people over. So when they call and there's nobody who pick up the phone, and it's unusual. So usually it will just pick up, right? So we actually send the responder out, and we found that she actually fell down in the toilet and has been sitting there ever since. So when the responders arrived, they did an assessment to say that, okay, her leg is a bit swollen, but they suspected there might be a fracture in the toe. So in consideration of her age and all, then we still got the ambulance to get her for a further checkup.
Wow. Imagine like you yourself, the next time you're old and nobody then at home, like you can just die,
I think like this kind of service is really like comforting in a sense, because like there's someone who is going to help you. So like, do you think people are like open to this idea, or like has the response been good for this?
It takes a lot. When we first started it, a lot of people would be like, is this CCTV? I don't want people to monitor me. And because our sensors that you have to have a gateway to make sure that the sensors work. So that will this take out a lot of my electricity bill? Very practical questions that they will have. And then like, do you know what I'm doing now? Do you and all these little questions that they have. And then also people who stays alone, but their kids actually install this for them. So they were like, will you tell my kids secret things about me? Like that kind of thing. So a lot of things that we have to debunk and also to educate them.
So Karine, I just wanted to share with you what my friend actually told me. So like, I observe how their family is like, and I actually really admire how like close they are to their grandparents, and it's really nice to see how they spend a lot of time. So I always notice like they bring their grandparents to the clinic for like appointments, and then they bring them out to get their checkups, and like in case of any emergencies, they really like take really good care of them. So this just had me wondering, like, what if there are some elderlies who like don't have a family, like a close caregiver that they can contact. So like, is there something that SRC does to help these elderlies?
We do. So that's called the medical chaperone and transportation under the TransportAid Programme. But it's not just for families who or those people who don't have families lah. So even if you have families, like as I mentioned earlier, there's like aging population, right? So are you the only child?
I'm the only child.
You're the only child, right? So imagine if you have to constantly take leave or like absence from school for your parents and your grandparents. Do you think your future bosses will allow that?
No, angry.
Yeah, so that's where we also steps in. So it's not only for those who do not have like relatives or what. So we have this group of people called the Chaperones. so who actually undertake the role of the caregiver and bring the senior citizens to and for their medical appointment and stay with them throughout the appointment. So what they do is they also help them to take notes, like what do they have to take note, like where to take the medication, when is the next appointment. Yeah, so that's where these people steps in to do this. And we actually lost a lot of this group of chaperones during the pandemic, like during circuit breaker, because they were like, wow, but I have to bring them to hospital
Oh, they were scared.
Why do I want to go to hospital and unnecessarily expose myself to that? So that's where the biggest challenge of the service is at. Yeah, and also like it's a support to the senior citizens, right? You need to hold them when they walk. You need to be very patient because sometimes they walk a bit slow, right? You need to be very mindful of that. You cannot say, Akong, can you walk faster? Like how? Like they can't, and you need to be understanding about that. So we need people who are a bit physically stronger, healthier. And also when, sometimes we go through like some procedures like chemo or dialysis, and then you just feel very weak, and then you are just in a mood. I mean, you are unhappy about something, you're just in the mood. So the chaperones also have to, sometimes take the hit about like, okay, they are venting their frustrations on me. So they have to be very understanding about this. So this kind of traits in one person, the chaperone is a very unique person that we need to find. Very understanding. And the appointments are usually on the weekdays. So I ask you to, after your school, can you help me?
I got schoolwork. Bye-bye.
So that's very hard to find also. So this is where the very, very big challenge of facing now. So maybe you can rally your classmates. Take turns lah.
Talking about classmates, right? So it's like about youth, right? So like, what do you think, what have you done for like elderly, or like from primary school until secondary school, you got any like voluntary thing whereby you all go to old folks home, that kind?
So I think like most of us have had this experience, like primary school and secondary school, we will be actually asked to like join volunteer programs, and I think I've gone to a few of them and I've actually like thoroughly enjoyed them. But like, I've actually enjoyed like, because I think it's fun to actually talk to them and like we get like engage in activities like making crafts or like doing something with them, and like when you talk to them, it really makes you happy because like they engage with you and they care about you. Like elderlies, like they just care about you, they kind of show their love and care to you.
Is their children.
Yeah, that's really very cute. So it's like I really like talking to them.
In my personal opinion, I always feel that when groups go and visit an old folks home, and it's only to fulfill whatever their own agenda. I need to fulfill my KPI. I need to fulfill my CIP hours. But they never care about how the other party feels. Because they feel like I'm just there to fulfill whatever you need to. So the heart of our program in especially ElderAid is that we don't have volunteers there for once-off basis. We care about the feelings of the beneficiaries. So we want them to have friends and not just like, oh, today I can't visit you. Next month is another person. Another month is another face. We tend not to do that because we care about how they feel. We don't want them to feel like, okay, today you want to come visit me, you can't visit me.
Like it's sort of using the elderly, right?
Yes, in a way it is. And that's very important for us to let other people know that it shouldn't be that case lah. There should be something that's more depth into this kind of volunteering or things that is on the superficial surface level.
So like usually when I talk to my friends about volunteering, we are open to the idea, but sometimes we are afraid that some of the people that we want to help, for example the elderly, they might not really be like happy. They might be quite cranky. So like we are often like afraid to even approach them when we volunteer. So like, we are quite hesitant to do that.
Talking to senior citizens is an art that I personally can attest to. I'm not a big fan of speaking to them for long because sometimes they're quite lengthy. You're just like, I'm doing my work, but I really cannot talk to you for so long, and you're afraid of hurting their feelings. But at the same time, you'll be like, but I really want to, cut the phone. Then what do you do? So you really need to manage them. Need to talk to them properly to say that, okay, can I call you back, like in another maybe few hours? I got things to do. And just manage their expectations and see what they need. Because that is also why I link back to my previous point that if you know this person more, you will know that this person, like let's say, usually they'll just say, do you want a drink? Then after 15 minutes, say, yeah, you can go home already. But that day, she's like, can you not go home yet? You feel that there's something wrong. So then you know that because you know this person more on the personal level. So you can find out like, also exactly why it's wrong. This person, why this grandpa wants to talk to me for so long. Then something must have happened. Then you'll know and you try to get it out from this person and see whether you can help this person. Yeah.
I feel like what you say is true. Like, it takes time, but like, what if some of the youth like who are interested to volunteer, but like they don't understand that it takes time and they're a bit impatient with it. Like, how would you encourage them to like keep going?
Then we just have to find out where is their strength. I think it's not everybody is built to volunteer with the senior citizens lah. There are other areas. So like within SRC, we do have other programs, like first aid programs, and young people are excited about going for first aid duties. So these are things that we have to match. So it's an organization where we have a lot of volunteers. We try to match the volunteers to their strength, and we are open to giving volunteers the opportunity to try. If let's say you tell me you really like to work with senior citizens, of course I'll pair you with that program first. But eventually, if you're not suitable for it, then we won't ask you to like, okay, you have to leave. We don't need you. But that where else can you serve? Where else can you contribute?
So like I noticed that like the experiences that Jean and myself shared was like in school. So like I feel like this shows that most youth don't really have the time. So like, do you think time is an important factor when we want to volunteer?
Time is definitely important lah. I mean, especially with schoolwork, all this piling up, you cannot commit yourself. But so that is where my role comes in. I'm going to pitch to you why you can come and volunteer with us. We have so many programs. Some are on ad hoc basis, some is on a commitment basis. So there are also programs that is on a once-off basis. Then that is where you find time to do it. So let's say you come to us and say that, okay, I'm free during school holidays. And that's why we can find things that you can contribute to within that period of time. So I think time while is crucial, it shouldn't be a deciding factor on whether you should volunteer.
So I'm curious to know, have there like ever been a time where there was like a lack in the number of volunteers and y'all needed more?
Definitely. During this circuit breaker, a lot of volunteering activities are being stopped. So on our side, we experienced the lack of engagement. So with the lack of engagement, the volunteers that passion will die down. So we actually lost a lot of our good volunteers. So we do need the volunteers numbers to be pumped out so that we can continue serving the people. And after this COVID-19, more people need help. Yeah, but the volunteers numbers are dropping. So we need more of your help and advocacy to boost it. And I think the youth are someone that the group that we really want to touch base on now. Yeah, so that's where we hope that more people are willing to step out to know more. So maybe they won't be able to volunteer now, but at least you know more about it, and this can be at the back of your mind to say that maybe one day I can do something about it.
Is there any like recent story whereby like due to the lack of volunteers then you guys have to like the elderlies have to like sort of suffer because they don't have the volunteers to help them?
No, I wouldn't say they suffer lah. So more of like the volunteers who are still with us have to double out and do more calls to help more. So maybe in the way that I wouldn't use the word suffer, but probably I won't be able to attend to you as more exclusively as I could. And there's always the staff to step up to fill in the gaps when we need to. So that's why the staff are around to manage the volunteers, but at the same time when we do, we also step in to do the necessary work to help. So we also work with a lot of like departments, like the volunteer departments, to see whether we can groom and get more like potential volunteers.
So like, is there any reason why you're like want to target youth instead of like other age groups?
Other age group is also our target market. Yes. Okay. But youth is a growing pool that we want to touch base on, because you see, youth are people who pretty much have not been exposed so much to this kind of industry. And in Singapore, our ingrained culture is not to volunteer. Like, we don't have that culture like growing up to teach you that you must volunteer, you should volunteer. And like, do you have volunteering experience apart from school?
Outside don't have. Outside
okay,
don't
why?
have. Cause it's like if somebody asked me to volunteer, I would, but then I wouldn't like own self go and search like, oh, how can I volunteer? Like, what are the ways? Then like when you think about it, like I need to write email, need to call, then need to like so many admin stuff, like so tiring, and I'm like, then don't do.
Okay, so yeah, that's a very real thought. Like, if it's troublesome, then it's only what I want to do based on my convenience, right? It's not based on what I would want to set out and achieve it, because that's not what that's what we are being taught lah. And you?
So for me, right, ever since I went to secondary school, I actually wanted to volunteer. So like, I faced two main issues. So last time the first issue I faced was they said that I had to be 18 to volunteer. So that was one. And then recently when I was finding for like other organizations to take part in, because I did volunteer somewhere, but unfortunately I had to go out from it. So I continued searching like other places, but due to the pandemic, they were like a little bit afraid, I think, to like ask volunteers to come because of like all these safety measures. So these were like two main issues that I faced.
Okay, the age is definitely one, right? Because if let's say there are certain kind of activities that we cannot engage you guys because you are not of age, because you're too young to do it. In terms of like sometimes the organization don't find that you are a good fit. Yeah, communication with a lot of volunteers. Like, I mean, humans communication, there's definitely breakdowns now and then. And with this, it's either we mitigate it or we avoid it. Yeah, and it's not my style to avoid that question. So usually we try to mitigate and see what's wrong and see how we can improve from there. So if it's that case, then I mean, you can always join us. We are always very happy to have more volunteers. And youth are a vibrant group of people.
Yes.
And that's why and a lot of creative. I mean, sometimes we are in the industry for so long, they will be like, I think just do this lah. Don't copy and paste every year. No problem. It's the correct formula that we can use. But when there are new ideas that comes in from the youth, we'll be like, okay lah, we can try. But if not, we will just be so like stagnant. And that's why it ties back to the point why we want youths to be there. But the energy level is different from our, our age and the young people. It's very different already. And you can bring like new ideas, new technology, then be more efficient. And that's not what sometimes we lazy already. We don't feel like doing that anymore.
Alright, you say that like talking to elderly is art, right? Are there any tips you can give like when people who are not very like comfortable with elderly, they want to volunteer? What are the tips you can give them?
You just have to remember that they are elderly. A certain level of respect must be there.
Okay.
Like even no matter how bad the conversation is, how much you really want to end the conversation, you just have to respect that they are your elders. You have to do this. And I think there was once where I really picked up a call that was being floated to me after it's being passed around my team because they really can't handle this person. And when it comes to me, then I'll just be like, no, this is not what we're going to do, because this person is more of for a lack of a better word, is just taking advantage and asking too much lah. Yeah, so I just took over the phone and I said, this is not what we're going to do. And at some point I just told this lady that if you are going to ask for this, then sorry, we cannot help you any longer. Yeah, so these are stories that we have to make the hard decisions, because while we said to help more people, there are people who tries to take advantage and it becomes too much and it becomes a concern, and it also affects the team dynamics and the spirit lah. Like, back end you'll be like, every time I receive a call, then people start scolding me. Yeah, so we really have to tell them, and sometimes being nice and being patient just to tell them that maybe you can phrase your words nicer. Okay, then and they actually will listen. Yeah, and they will actually like, okay, this maybe I can phrase it that way, and it's okay to point out to them that maybe this is not the right way to speak, and maybe it's better if you phrase it like that, and then we can help you. Or we can just say that, okay, I cannot speak to you now because you are agitated now. It might end badly, so why not I give you a call back in 5 minutes? Some EQ things that you can put into play. And it doesn't just apply to elderly lah. It applies to like peer to peer. Sometimes you can just like, let's take a 5 minutes break.
PR.
Yes, PR. Yes. That's the correct word lah. You need to be very nice about it. But at the back of my mind, you really just remember that I'm not talking to my friends. I'm not talking to somebody that I know very well. I'm talking to a person who might have gone through a very tough life and you don't know about it. Just give the benefit of doubt to these people.
So like sometimes like I see some like YouTube video, then they will like they'll show those like volunteers who are working with elderly, and sometimes like they will share some like struggles, and they will say, oh, this elderly is so bad to me, but in the end the elderly like just became nice to him because like the elderly can see like the effort that the person put in, then like eventually they will accept you one.
Yes, I would say, because sometimes if you meet a new person, you might not treat the person with an open and willing so after you get to know the person, they will open up slowly. Yeah, and it's also the same point if you get a person who always goes back to the same beneficiary and this person gets to know this person and this person will start to open up. But the same thing is if you keep going back to like having different faces, they will feel like you are just making use of me.
Yeah.
Then they will feel not so comfortable in sharing.
Oh yeah. True.
So like, have you had any experiences like talking to an elderly and it kind of took some time to like gel in with them?
Yes. So there are people who are skeptical about what we do. So that are you here just to so for example we have the chaperones, right? So we will go to their house to pick them up. So there will be times where like I'm gonna come here and steal my money.
No.
I'm gonna find information, tell other people about this. So we really have to build up the trust. And with that then we have built very good friends. So like during like festives, so we have like the clients who actually like, can I buy drinks for your team? Can I buy this for your team? Can I give them presents? Can I give and we have this very cute beneficiary who take our transport, and every few months she says, I want to make a donation because you are doing so well, like treating me so good, like better than my own son. Yeah, and they become friends with like my team my team of like staff, and they know them by name. They know them really, like, you all like to eat this, right? Then okay, Hari Raya, I buy it for you.
Wow.
Yeah, so they really become friends. Yeah, that's where the trust built up.
I think that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
when you hear remarks like, oh, you do take care of me better than my children, like how does this make you feel?
I feel that I question what has the children been doing. Because we see them once in a while. We are accidentally paid to do our jobs to provide the service to them. Well, it might go beyond. But then to me it's ultimately I'm doing this for something different than just like I want to do this. I'm doing because I'm paid to do this. I have a job to do, right?
It's like
Yeah, so there's this struggle lah. So but then you still have to remember that why I'm in this line and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So then so when you hear this is an encouragement, you're like, yes, I can do this. I mean, personally, sometimes when I meet my peers who are in the private industry and then they'll be like, yeah, I got an increment. I got a performance bonus of like how many months. Then you'll be like, yeah, I don't have. But when you hear these things, you'll be like, it's okay. No problem. I can do this.
Yes.
Well, this is what I live for. You know? Yeah, so it's really, you need to find out why you are in this. Yeah. And when you put in the heart to do this, I think you will get the necessary like takeaway.
Are there like some good experiences that you can share with us that like motivates you to keep going in this field?
Keep going. I think apart from all these things that we hear, is also compliments for the team and see how we have benefited the beneficiaries. So like sometimes they're only here with us on interim basis and they'll be like, yeah, I'm well already. I don't need your services anymore. And it's not a sad thing. It's something that when we hear about it, we'll be like, okay, we have served you enough that you are well and you are like independent now and you can like go on your way. And it's very heartening to hear that. Yeah, because we don't want to to become a welfare society where people just rely on us forever. Yeah, so we try to build their resilience and then really go into that. Yeah, and or like, you know, when senior citizens like, you are doing like so well and treat me so well, can I give back? I got no money, but can I give back my time?
Oh, by volunteering also.
Yes, so they volunteer with us. Yeah, so these are things and small things that we find out that it will really just encourage us that we are doing the right thing and we are happy that we are still here to see this happening.
Yeah.
So you say like elderlies can also volunteer, right? So what do they actually do?
Okay, so the elderly, because of depends on the limitation, so we do engage them for different purposes lah. So it could be helping us to do events, and actually our senior citizens, sometimes they are very well trained in their field when they were working. So we can actually tap on their expertise. Yeah, to help us, like, so they will like teach us things, teach us knowledge. And a lot of our volunteers actually learn from them knowledge that from the last 10 days how they do, and they'll be like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? They are very knowledgeable.
Is there like a specific event or experience whereby you saw this happen, like the elderly with the young volunteers like teaching each other like that?
We do have social events where we pair them out and then they will just start talking. And we also have like feedbacks from like on our services, like, hey, actually y'all can do this.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they will start teaching us what to do. And which are good things
Yeah.
that we learn from them.
Mm.
Yeah, so we hear now and then I do receive calls from the senior citizens to compliment the team, to give suggestions on how we can improve, and also like from based on what they know, this is what we can do and all. And it's quite nice lah to hear from them. Yeah. My personal thing lah. I mean, some people I know it's probably like, oh, I'm really very busy, stop calling me.
Oh.
And yeah, but I don't feel it that way unless they've talk for too long.
Okay, yeah, so
Yes.
like after today's podcast, what have you learned about like elderlies and like the needs and the volunteering?
So I think the first thing I really like what Karine said, that it is definitely difficult taking care of elderlies, but we have to always bear in mind that they are our elders and we have to be patient. So I think that's really what I've learned. So what about you, Jin?
Actually, I want to say the same thing. Like, I feel like elderlies, right? Like, we cannot treat them like the people. Like, we cannot treat them the people like we treat others. Like, they are different, you know. Like, they are elders, and like, even though they may be cranky or like maybe rude, but we need to like know that maybe they have some like backstory. I need to have patience with them. And if you really want to do volunteer work, right, you shouldn't be discouraged or like be offended too much, because like even though you're like sort of like bearing with them, but what you might get in the future, right, is that their trust and like the special bond lah. Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like I think it's a good opportunity for the youth to like mingle around with the elderly, because they are the ones who like sculpted this future for us, and I think we have to like really appreciate the things that they have done for us. So can you share with us more about the volunteering opportunities that are available?
Yeah, okay, so we have a lot of programs, I said, right? So the different commitment levels that we have can be all found on our website. But even if there are requirements like age requirements and all when we deal with like certain groups of clients. So, but even if you're not of age, even if you are not like eligible, I think what everybody can do is to share.
Sure.
You know, like social media is so strong, like especially young people like you guys sure got a lot of like, don't know how many social media accounts you have. You just share one thing to 200 of your followers. And the multiplier effect is really, we cannot even calculate. And that's what everybody can do lah. But of course, if you have the time, you have the passion to serve physically, just go on our website. You know, there's different kind of opportunities that we have. Then we can be able to match you to the best of what you would wish to pursue in. Okay, so you can visit our website at redcross.sg or our Instagram handle at sgredcross to see what are the upcoming voluntary opportunities.
So thank you for joining us today and sharing with us more about the elderlies. And
Thank you
we've
for
really
having me.
You're welcome. And we've really learned a lot from you today.
So thank you all of you for listening to this podcast. We hope that you learned something new and enriching about elderlies and volunteering. So like as what Karine said, any question, just go to the website, and bye bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Crosstalk. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more episodes.